This video is on adding fractions with the same and different denominators. Same denominator. So when the denominators are the same, and by that I mean 1/3 plus 1/3, when you have the same denominator, which is the number at the bottom of the fraction, then that remains the same. And all you do is add the numerators, so the numbers at the top. In this case, 1 plus 1 is 2, and the final answer is 2/3. Another example. 1/5 plus 3/5. Again, we can see our denominators are the same, although the numerators are different. Doesn't make any difference what happens at the top. So 5 as our denominator, and we just take 1 and 3, which is 4/5. Different denominators. So when we've got different denominators, we actually need to make the denominators the same. For example, 1/7 plus 2/3. So as we can see, our denominators are 7 and 3. In order to make the denominators the same, I'm going to move on to the next slide to begin with. 1/7 plus 2/3. In order to make our denominators the same, we need to find a common multiple of both 7 and 3. So I know for a fact that a common multiple of 7 and 3 is 21. So what I need to do now is figure out how I got from 7 to 21. Well, I multiplied it by 3. Therefore, I also need to do the same thing with the numerator. 1 times by 3 is 3. To get from 3 to 21, I multiplied it by 7, and therefore 2 times by 7 is 14. Now the denominators are the same, therefore the denominator stays as 21, and I can add the numerators 13 and 14, which would get me 17/21. There is another method that you can use. It all depends on the actual question itself. So let's just get rid of this. For example, there is another method that can be used. It all depends on the nature of the question. So you could have a question like this: 1/4 plus 2/8. So I know I can make this denominator, the first one, I know if I multiply that by 2, I can actually make that an 8. Therefore, I will have the same denominator. So I can actually use one of the denominators. So multiplying this full fraction by 2, 4 times by 2 is 8, 1 times by 2 is 2, and therefore I'm going to keep that 2 the same as well. The denominator stays as 8. The numerator is 2 plus 2 is 4, which gives me an answer of 4/8, which when simplified would actually be a half.